What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Tuesday, April 27th, 2021, and I have another overlooked SHTF threat to share with you guys. This is the second video in the overlooked SHTF threats series. If you missed the first one, I'll put a link up above and you guys can watch that first video I did on overlooked SHTF threats. And I'm going to make this an ongoing series. So I'm going to continue to make more videos on overlooked SHTF threats. In the first video, I talked about wildfires and arson and just fires in general. I talked about how after SHTF, there's going to be a lot of wildfires and brush fires that are going to be out of control because the resources to put those fires out are not going to be there anymore, especially if we're talking about a total collapse of society. Let's say there's a nuclear war. Most recently, we had the situation with Ukraine and Russia about to invade Ukraine. Luckily, that simmered down by the grace of God. But, if there was ever a nuclear war, there would be a lot of firestorms and fires caused by the nuclear bombs that could spread into forested areas. And a lot of preppers have bug out locations in forested areas, or a lot of preppers live in forested areas. And so that's what I talked about in the first video. And now I'm going to talk to you guys about dangerous animals and why I believe dangerous animals are an overlooked threat. And I'm going to talk about what you can do about it as a prepper and how you can prepare to deal with dangerous animals after a collapse of society or SHTF situation. Okay. So for those of you guys who don't know much about me or are new to the channel, what makes me qualified to talk about this is that I'm an outdoorsman and a longtime hunter. I've been hunting big game since I was old enough to do so, the age of 16, with firearms. And so I consider myself pretty knowledgeable about wildlife and dangerous animals because I spend a lot of time in the outdoors. And here in upstate New York, where I live, we have a lot of big bears, and many bears are over 600 pounds. Every year, a hunter kills a bear over 600 pounds. So we have a dense population of bears, and I've had encounters with bears in close proximity situations, 25 yards or less. So I'm comfortable with my level of expertise and my level of skills when it comes to dealing with dangerous animals. And I want to help you guys, for those of you guys who are not really big into the outdoors and don't really know much about dangerous animals, you need to acquaint yourself with all the different dangerous animal species that exist in the forests in your area. Forests or plains, whatever area you tend to live, or where you live and where you're going to be bugging out. And so I want to talk to you guys specifically about predatory animals. I'm not going to talk about, poisonous snakes or scorpions or black widow spiders. That's pretty common. That's like common sense. In this one, I want to talk to you guys about predatory mammals and dangerous mammals. I want to talk about bears. I want to talk about mountain lions. I want to talk about hoofed animals that can be dangerous, like elk, moose, white-tailed deer, bison, animals that can trample you. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about also alligators and things like that, although I don't really know much about alligators because I've never seen one in the wild and I've never lived in the South, so I have no idea about alligators. But I want to talk to you guys mostly about what I think you guys will encounter when you're in a bug out situation or after SHTF, if you're in a forested environment, if you're moving around from point A to point B. Let's say you're on a recon mission and you're trying to recon some nearby towns to see what's going on, or let's say you're moving your group from one area to another because your current location got compromised and you're moving to another area. You're going to deal with wild animals, especially dangerous animals in that type of a situation. And you need to know, you need to be prepared for that. And also, if you're bugging out, especially a lot of people, especially urban dwellers, they have this fantasy that they're going to bug out from the city and they're going to throw their backpack on and go into the mountains, and some people can do that. There's some very skilled people that can do that. And, if you're one of those people, by all means do it. But a lot of people, I would say like 60 to 70% of preppers that think about bugging out of the city and live in the city don't have the skills, experience, or physical fitness to be able to survive in that kind of a situation. And then also to deal with the wild animals that you're going to have to encounter. So, we live in a society now where we're on the top of the food chain because our modern conveniences allow us to be safe from all these creatures out there. We have big steel vehicles, that are like boxes around us. They're like armored. They're like armor. We drive down the road and we have this big armored box that we drive in, and nothing on the outside world can touch us. No animal, no bees or mosquitoes or anything. We're all sealed into this box. And when you're bugging out, you're not going to be sealed in that box anymore. You're not going to be confined to four walls and a roof. You're not going to be confined to your car. Okay, you're going to be out in the open, all right, with every other animal that's out there. You're going to be a part of the food chain, whether you like it or not. And yeah, we are at the top of the food chain, and I consider myself to be an apex predator. And that's one thing you have to first thing you need to do to prep yourself for dealing with wild animals is you need to adopt the mentality that you're an apex predator, that you're not a prey. All right, human beings are apex predators. We're the top of the food chain. And yeah, a lot of people are going to say, well, it's your guns that allow you to be the top of the food chain. Yes and no. It's not just the guns. It's everything. It's our willpower. It's our ingenuity, our intelligence, and our adaptability that makes us the top of the food chain. So never forget that you as a human being are the most feared predator in the world. Okay, this is the reason why when people go hiking in Yellowstone, many times bears will even run away from, people, because even though that particular person may be a city dweller from Los Angeles that, can't even bench press 100 pounds and never shot a gun in their life, but the bears, they see human beings as something to fear. So remember that you are an apex predator, and so you have to act like one. Okay, you have to act like an apex predator when you're dealing with these types of animals. Okay, now that doesn't mean that you should challenge a bear to a fight or walk around like you're indestructible, because some animals will challenge you, and they're going to see if you are the apex predator. Particularly brown bears are known to do that. Brown bears are known to pretty much charge and challenge anything, okay, whether it's a human being, a bison, a moose. You can talk to any professional hunting guide in the Western United States or in Canada, Alaska. So you don't want to challenge a bear or a bison or a moose or something like that. But you have to adopt the mindset that you are an apex predator. You're in control of your destiny, and you're in control of your surroundings. Okay, don't let the animals control the situation. You have to control the situation and make things favorable for your survival, and so you can thrive. Okay, now what you're looking at here is just a picture of a bear, a black bear in Tennessee, attacking a wild boar somewhere close to the Smoky Mountains. Okay, and if you want to watch this video, I'm going to put a link down below so you guys can check it out. I recommend everybody watch it. Definitely not a video for kids, or if you're one of those types of people that's very sensitive to seeing animals getting injured. But this is a video that shows a black bear attacking and trying to kill a wild boar. Okay. Now, a lot of people think that black bears are not dangerous, and I'm going to bust that myth in this video. There's a lot of people that always tell me, oh, you don't have to worry about black bears because they're going to run from you. And the only ones you have to worry about are brown bears and polar bears. And that's actually not even true. That's kind of like a myth that a lot of people try to convince themselves that black bears are not dangerous, because they deep down, a lot of people know that black bears can be dangerous, and they don't want to deal with that reality. They'd rather just put their head in the sand and say, yeah, chances are the bear's going to run away. But what happens if the bear doesn't run away? What happens if the bear starts following you and charges you? What are you going to do? Do you know how to handle that situation? What are you going to do if you have a mountain lion stalking you while you're bugging out? Okay. What are you going to do if you have a 500-pound hungry black bear that's stalking you during your bug out? Okay. Black bears have been known to stalk, kill, and eat human beings. Okay. Black bears are responsible for the most predatory attacks on human beings in North America of any bear species. Okay, more than brown bears and more than polar bears. Okay, so black bears kill more people than, first of all, black bears kill more people than any other bear species in North America. And on top of that, the proportion of predatory attacks for black bears are higher than brown and polar bears. Okay. Now, a lot of that could be because there's a lot more black bears than brown and polar bears. That's obvious. Black bears are pretty much all over North America. Any forested area will have black bears. They like really secluded, deep forest areas. They like wilderness areas. They don't like to be close to people. So any deep, secluded, wooded area will have black bears in it. They're big enough to kill a human being easily. Okay. A 200-pound black bear is 5 times as strong as a human being. So imagine what a 500-pound black bear can do. Okay. The jaw power of a black bear is many, many times stronger than a pit bull. Okay. When that black bear clamps down on you, you're not going to be able to get them off. All right. And on top of that, they can climb, they can run, they're very agile. They're also very quiet because they have pads on their feet. And there's many times that I've been hunting or hiking where I saw a bear and I didn't even know it was there until I was like really close to it, because they don't make any noise when they walk through the forest. They're very deliberate. The way that they move, they're not like deer. Deer, they're just they act like they're kind of dumb in the sense that when they walk, they're not stealthy. They don't pick their routes very strategically like a bear does. Bears kind of move like a predator does. They move more like a cat. They're very tactical. They think about where they're putting every foot. Every step they take is calculated, and they're a formidable threat. And, on top of bears, you also have wild hogs, you have mountain lions, you have alligators, you have elk, moose, bison, white-tailed deer. I want to just read some attacks, bear attacks and mountain lion attacks. I personally believe that black bears, mountain lions, and coyotes are going to be the top 3 dangerous animals that you're going to have to deal with after SHTF, because they're everywhere and they're very adaptable. All right. There's a very high population of all 3 of these animals, and they're all very adaptable and smart. Now, on top of that, in some areas of the country, you're going to have to deal with brown bears. You're going to have to deal with wolves. You're going to have to deal with elk, bison, moose, okay, which can all kill you. Those large hoofed animals can trample you. They can charge you. But I want to start with the bears and the predators first, and then I'm going to move on to the hoofed animals last, okay? And I want to talk about how you can protect yourself and what to do. So I want to read some stories here. Not stories, but these are actually cases of people getting killed by these animals. So on September 11th, 2018, it's just about 3 years ago, We had a 55-year-old woman killed by a cougar in Mount Hood National Forest on the Hunchback Mountain Trail. That was just 3 years ago in Mount Hood, which is a very popular tourist area. It's close to Portland, Oregon. On May 19th, 2018, that's just a few months before that, in the state of Washington, we had a 32-year-old male, 32-year-old man killed by a cougar in North Bend, Washington, while biking in the foothills near North Bend. Another bicyclist was injured, and the cougar was found and killed later that day. All right, here's another one from New Mexico. This is Robert Navoyski, 55-year-old man, on June 24th, 2008. Searchers found his partially devoured body on this date near his mobile home in Pinos Altos, New Mexico. Investigators concluded that he had been killed and eaten by a cougar several days earlier. And here we have one coming out of Orange County, California. We have Mark Reynolds, 35 years old, January 8th, 2004, was attacked and killed while mountain biking at Whiting Ranch Wilderness Park in southern Orange County, California. It is believed his chain fell off of his bike and the cougar attacked when he bent down to repair his bicycle. So there's just 4 attacks right there for cougars. Now I want to share some black bear attacks. And here we have some coming from my neck of the woods. We have one in 2014, September 21st, 2014, in West Milford, New Jersey. A 22-year-old college student was killed and eaten by a black bear, and he was hiking with 4 friends in the Apshawa Preserve when they met a man and a woman at the entrance who told them there was a bear nearby and advised them to turn around. They continued on, found the bear, and Patel and another hiker took photos. They turned and began walking away, but the bear followed them. The hikers ran in different directions and found that Patel was missing when they regrouped. Authorities found Patel's body after searching for 2 hours. A black bear found in the vicinity was killed, and a necropsy revealed human remains in its digestive tract. Okay, and this was the first fatal bear attack on a human in New Jersey on record. Okay, and so that was in New Jersey. So for all of you guys out there that are saying, oh yeah, most of the bear attacks happen somewhere in Canada in the middle of nowhere, well, they're starting to happen over here too, in areas closer to populated regions like New York or something like that, New Jersey. And so there's a lot of these situations where you have predatory attacks on people by black bears. Here we have one in Alaska. This was June 19th, 2017. A contract employee for Pogo Mine was killed while collecting soil samples. The bear was shot and killed by mine personnel. September 1st, 2019, in Red Pine Island, Ontario, a 62-year-old female left her cabin on an island on Rainy Lake, Ontario, to check on her dogs and did not return. Police sent to find her and encountered a large black bear near her body. The bear, which was behaving in a predatory manner, was killed on the spot. Here we have another one from British Columbia. Daniel Ward O'Connor, 27-year-old man, May 10th, 2015. Ward was killed and eaten by a bear while he slept near the fire pit at his campsite. His fiancée, who slept in a nearby motorhome, discovered his remains the following morning. The bear was later shot and killed by conservation officers. All right, guys, so that could easily happen to you while you're bugging out. You know, you could fall asleep next to your campfire and you wake up and there's a 500-pound black bear standing over you and he starts chewing on your leg. what are you going to do then? How are you going to react? Do you know what to do in that situation? Do you have the appropriate weapons to deal with that? Okay. Now I want to talk about weaponry and why dealing with dangerous animals is much more difficult than dealing with people. Okay. Because preppers, we always think about marauders and how marauders are going to be the biggest threat and other people are going to be the biggest threat after SHTF. Refugees from the cities and bad people that are going to take advantage of the lack of power and electricity, but we neglect the four-legged threats. And here's the reason why animals are more dangerous and more difficult to deal with in many situations. All right. Animals in general are much more powerfully built. They have larger bone structures. They have thicker muscle. They have hide. Okay. Their skin is very tough. It's like leather. That's where leather comes from, is from the skin of different types of animals. Okay, so they have a very thick hide. They have layers of muscle. Some animals have very thick layers of fat, especially bears. Bears can have up to 6 inches of fat, okay, around their body. And then on top of that, they have a massive musculature. And then on top of that, they have huge bones, okay? So in order to kill an animal like a bear, you have to be able to penetrate through the leather hide that they have. You're going to have to penetrate through several inches of fat. You're going to have to be able to penetrate through several inches of muscle. And then you're going to have to possibly penetrate through very dense bones in order to get to a vital area, okay? So that makes weaponry very important, and the type of weapons you select to deal with them and the ammunition is very important. You can't simply use the same ammunition that you use in your concealed carry gun to deal with a bear or a moose or even an angry deer. Animals like that are much more powerfully built than we are, and they have more layers of muscle and fat around their vital areas, and their bones are bigger, so it makes it a lot harder to penetrate. Human beings, on the other hand, we're not difficult to kill. Okay. We only have a thin layer of muscle, even on the most powerfully built men. Okay. Even the most powerfully built men, the world's strongest man type people that are, 400 pounds and, they have 1,000-pound squats. Even guys like that, they only have a few inches of muscle, okay? Compared to a bear, which has many, many inches of muscle and many, many inches of fat and hide and fur on top of that, okay? So killing a human being is very easy when compared to a bear or a mountain lion. Mountain lions are smaller than bears, so that's not a good comparison, but so you need to have the appropriate bullets to be able to penetrate through all that mass, okay, all that tissue. You need appropriate bullets. And if you watch some of my shooting videos, you'll notice that I shoot a lot of hard cast bullets, and I do a lot of penetration tests with hard cast bullets. And hard cast bullets are one of the best ways to deal with a large predatory animal like a bear. Okay, hard cast lead bullets and solids. Okay, full metal jacket is good too, but full metal jacket is not as good as a solid metal bullet or a hard cast bullet. But the bottom line is, when you're dealing with a bear or any kind of dangerous animal, you don't want expanding bullets that are made from soft lead. You don't want your standard hollow point jacketed bullets that you have in concealed carry ammunition. And the reason why is that the heavy fur and the mass that these animals have is going to stop those hollow point bullets from penetrating into the vital area. Okay, they have an armor. They have armor around them. Okay, the layers of fat and the layers of muscle act like body armor. Okay, And there's actually been situations that in real life, you have guys who have used, standard 9mm bullets trying to kill a bear, and they emptied their whole magazine in a black bear. This particular story came from Minnesota. A hunting guide was taking a group of hunters on a bear hunt in northern Minnesota, and they wounded the bear and they were tracking it, and they wanted to finish the bear off, and it started charging at them. And the hunting guide had his 44 Magnum, and his clients had a 9mm and a 45 ACP as a sidearm. And his clients started shooting at the bear with their 45 ACP and their 9mm, and they emptied like both of their magazines into that bear. So you're probably talking about 25 rounds into the bear, and the bear was not stopping at all. It was still coming for them, and it wasn't dead at all. It wasn't phased. And then finally the guide pulled his 44 Magnum out, and he killed the bear within 2 or 3 shots. Okay. And later on, when they were butchering the bear, they found that all of the 9mm and all of the 45 ACP got stuck in the fat of the bear. Okay. The bear had like 5 inches of fat, and none of those 9mm and 45 ACP got past that layer of fat. So the bear was not even phased at all. And they shot again. Both of them dumped their magazine into that bear, and that was a larger black bear. It was, I think he said it was like 700 pounds. Okay, but you can't use the same ammunition that you have for concealed carry or weapons that you plan to use after SHTF are generally going to be hollow points or soft points. They're going to be expanding bullets. You want to use a bullet that's not going to expand, so it can punch through all of that mass and get to the vital areas. You need a bullet that can break bones. If you shoot at the bear and the bullet hits the shoulder bone on a bear is huge. Okay, same thing with a moose or a bison or something like that. And if an animal is charging you from the front, you're only going to really have 2 shots. You're going to have 2 targets that you're going to be presented with. You're either going to be shooting at the face, okay, or you're going to be shooting at the shoulder. Shooting at the face sounds good on paper, but when you have a bear running at you at 30 or 40 miles an hour and its head is bobbing up and down, it's going to be very hard to pull that shot off, especially when your adrenaline is pumping. All right, so most guys will shoot at the shoulder, okay? Most dangerous game hunters and most hunting guys will aim for the shoulder. And the reason why they aim for the shoulder is because it's easier to make the shot because it's a larger target. And if you don't kill the bear immediately, like if you shot the bear in the face and you went for the brain, if you shoot the bear in the shoulder, it's gonna immobilize that bear's shoulder, and it's gonna slow it down so you can make follow-up shots. All right, but if you're going right for the face, if you miss that shot, the bear's charging you and you miss the shot for the face, then you're screwed, because by the time you recover for your second shot, the bear's going to be on you. So most dangerous game hunting guides, they aim for the shoulder at a charging animal. All right. And the reason why is that it's a bigger target and there's more room for forgiveness. But that leads into another reason why dangerous animals are so overlooked, and a lot of preppers don't train to deal with a dangerous animal. Most preppers, when they go to the range, they're thinking about tactical situations and CQB and things like that. And they're not thinking about how to deal with a charging animal, okay, or a predatory animal. And it's a lot different because, first of all, a animal, if it wants to kill you, it's going to be running very fast. And it's not going to be easy to pull off a shot, okay? It's not like a human being. Human beings, we present a very large target. We have this big, wide chest, okay? We have this big frontal mass that's easy to hit, okay? An animal, especially if it's charging at you, the target is very small. You're either, like I said, you're going to have to either shoot in the face of the animal, or you're going to have to shoot in the shoulder. And many times the shoulder is not going to be easy to hit because the animal's running full speed at you, let's say, or even not full speed, but at a quick pace, it's going to be hard to pull off that kind of a shot. Okay. So you need to really practice with your weapons and be very proficient, and be a really good shooter to be able to deal with a dangerous animal that's intent on killing you, because they're going to move quickly. They're not going to move slow. And that's another reason why their animals can be very dangerous, much more dangerous than people, is because not only do they have these very powerful bodies that are solidly built, but they also can move very quickly. And it's not easy to get a shot off on an animal that's running full speed, okay? Especially one that's running toward you. So you have to think about that, okay? Another dangerous animal that you need to think about besides the black bear, which I think is one of the most common predatory animals that preppers are going to have to deal with. Obviously, mountain lions are another one, and mountain lions pose a problem as well, because although mountain lions are not as powerfully built as a black bear, they're very fast and they're very small, okay? The target on a mountain lion is small. They're not huge. At least a bear is a bigger target, so it's hard to miss a bear. But a mountain lion is very small. You know, their head is small, their body is smaller, so the target is small. And if that mountain lion is running at you at 40 miles an hour, it's going to be almost impossible to make a good shot unless you wait until that mountain lion is very close to you, okay? Or if you're a very good pistol shooter. So that's something to think about. You also have coyotes and dogs, which I want to talk about. I think coyotes are going to be another issue for preppers after SHTF, especially people bugging out. Because coyotes and dogs are also very fast. They're very smart. They travel in groups, and they can quickly surround you, and they can outrun you. They can run you down until you're exhausted. That's how they kill their prey. They run down their prey until their prey is exhausted, and then they kill it, okay? So they can run you down. They can surround you. They're very smart. They have very good sense of smell. They can communicate with each other, and their targets are very small. On a dog or on a coyote, it's a small target, and they move very quickly. So again, you need to be a very good shooter to deal with a coyote or a dog or something like that. And I do believe that after SHTF, you're going to have massive packs of dogs, wild dogs, that are going to get together into packs, and they're going to roam around, and they're going to look to kill people and eat them. Okay, they're going to see people as a food source. And these are going to be all kinds of stray dogs that people let loose after SHTF. They're all going to get together and form these big packs. So coyotes and dogs are going to be a problem. Mountain lions, black bears also, especially black bears, because black bears have a very good sense of smell. And if you're bugging out to a secluded area, chances are the bear, if there's a bear within 2 or 3 miles of you and you have a fire going, or you're spending time in a particular area, let's say you're setting up camp for the night and you're eating food and stuff like that, you're warming up some mountain house, guess what? That bear is probably going to smell you, and he's going to come to investigate, okay? And depending on how hungry he is, how confident he is, he may try to, challenge you, or he may try to even kill you, okay? So moving on from those types of animals, now obviously you have brown bears and wolves, which is pretty much the same thing as black bears and coyotes. It's just a little bit larger. Brown bears are larger than black bears. Now, brown bears tend to attack more out of territorial situations. Brown bears, they tend to attack when they feel threatened, or they're defending a kill, or when they're protecting their cubs or their territory. Brown bears are more about territory and giving them space, versus black bears, they're more likely to attack when it's predatory. Okay, that's typically, if a black bear is attacking you, that means it's a predatory attack. Especially if it's like following you for a long time, that's a big red flag right there. Mountain lions, they're not going to give you a warning. They're just going to jump on your back and kill you. Coyotes and dogs will surround you. Um, so, moving on from those animals, we'll go into the hoofed animals that are dangerous. You have bison, elk, moose, and white-tailed deer, mule deer as well. All those animals can be very dangerous, but the good thing about them is that if you give them space, they're not going to come after you. So as long as you don't bother any of them, or you don't happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, you should be okay. Now, moose are known to be very aggressive in October during the mating season. So you want to make sure, if you're in an area that has a lot of moose and you're bugging out and you see a lot of moose tracks or moose sign, you want to maybe move out of that area. Avoid wetland areas. That's where moose like to hang out. They like the wetland areas. They eat the aquatic vegetation in them. Stay away from the aquatic areas. If you see an area that has a lot of moose activity, try to go around it. Same thing with elk. Now, elk, they like the high mountain areas with the open fields. And so you'll probably see the elk a long ways away before, it's not like it's going to pop out of some brush like a moose. Moose like to stay in very brushy areas and stuff like that. So white-tailed deer can be dangerous during the mating season. They can charge people. The good news is that a white-tailed deer is not particularly hard to kill, but it is very fast. And if they're charging at you, they'll be up on top of you within a second or two. So you have to be quick at drawing your pistol out, and you have to be calm under pressure. Moose are not that difficult to kill. Bison are very hard to kill. You need a powerful handgun. And then you do have alligators as well. Alligators are obviously most common in water areas. Alligators have a very small brain, and that's where you're going to try to shoot the alligator in the head to kill it. But if you're on land and you see an alligator, you're generally safe. It's really when you're in the water that they're most dangerous. But I wanted to give you guys these animals to think about. Research what animals are in your area where you live, and figure out what wild animals and dangerous animals are in your particular area. There's so many animals, I could go on and on. I mean, you also have porcupines, you have rattlesnakes, you have, there's so many different animals out there. And, you really have to be knowledgeable about your particular terrain where you're going to be bugging out, and where your area of operations is after SHTF. So you don't accidentally step on a rattlesnake, or you don't accidentally step on a porcupine, or you don't walk up on a brown bear kill by accident and get attacked, or you don't get stalked by a mountain lion. Mountain lions tend to like the very steep terrain. What they do is they hang out on the top of rocks, and they wait for you to walk by, and they jump on you, and they go for the back of your neck, and they try to break your neck. They sever your spinal cord. So be aware of where these animals are located in terms of geographic location around the U.S. If, let's say, your bug out location is in Montana, you better be aware that there are brown bears and wolves there. If your bug out location is upstate New York, you better be aware that there's black bears and coyotes and rattlesnakes. If your bug out location is in Florida, you better be aware that the animals you're going to have to deal with are going to be alligators and panthers, okay, and black bears as well. So you have to be aware of what animals are in your area of operations that could pose a threat to you, and you should become very intimately familiar with their habits. You should understand their habits. What kind of food sources do they like? What time of the year is their mating season? What time of the year is their hibernation period? You need to understand all these things, so this way you can avoid the danger areas. Okay, for example, let's say a bear, okay, a black bear in the fall time, when they're trying to put on fat, they're going to spend a lot of time in areas where there's a lot of berries, or a lot of oaks where there's acorns. So if you're walking through the woods and there's a lot of blueberries around, you better be on high alert, okay? Or if you're walking in an area, there's a lot of acorns on the ground, you better be on high alert. So you need to know where the food sources are for these animals. You need to know the mating seasons, because during the mating seasons, they get very territorial. Hibernation is important, just because a lot of animals that hibernate, they have to put on weight before hibernation, and they can become very ravenous and very aggressive when they're trying to put on weight for the winter, especially bears, for example. So you need to be intimately familiar with their habits. You need to know all the different signs. You should know what their tracks look like. You should know what areas they prefer as far as habitat goes. Like, for example, moose, they like wetlands. Bears, they like anything, but bears really like very secluded wilderness areas with a lot of berry bushes and a lot of mature oaks and hardwoods that they can get nuts from. Um, Mountain lions, they like areas that are very rocky and have a lot of cliffs so they can ambush the deer down below. So you should be familiar with that, okay? Be familiar with their habitat, what areas they like, food sources, mating seasons, hibernation periods. Be aware of all these things. Know what their tracks look like. Know what the signs are if the bears are in the area or mountain lions are in the area, etc. Typically, a bear will mark a tree. They'll mark trees for territorial purposes. They'll scratch a tree to let the other bears know that this is their territory. Wolves will do the same thing. Coyotes can do the same thing. Mountain lions, they also do that. They scratch up the bark of a tree to show that this is their territory. So you need to know these things, okay? It's too much for me to talk about in one video. You have to do the research on your own and figure it out for yourself, okay? If there's black bears in your area, you need to be very, very knowledgeable about everything about them, okay? If there's mountain lions in your area, if you live on the west coast, okay, you need to be intimately familiar with mountain lions. You need to know everything about them, okay? What kind of food do they eat? Where do they hang out? Etc. Where do they bed down during the day? That's another thing, is where do these animals bed down? Most animals, they sleep during the daytime. What they do is they get up in the morning and they feed, and then after they feed, they take a nap during the day, and then in the afternoon they get up again and they feed again. And a lot of animals are actually nocturnal, okay? Even deer, bears are nocturnal. So that's another thing, is you need to know what time they're active, if they're active during the day or are they active at night. These are things you need to know. It's a very big subject, okay? There's different animals that are active at different times of the day. So if you're moving around during the day and sleeping at night, then you have to know what animals are going to be active during the day while you're moving, and then you're going to have to know what animals are active while you're sleeping at night, or vice versa. All right, so these are things you need to think about. And again, weaponry is important. You need to have the proper firearms to deal with these types of animals. If you have a 9mm and that's your bug out weapon, let's say you're bugging out from a city or a suburb and you have a concealed carry permit and you have a 9mm or some kind of service caliber pistol, it's fine. Okay, I'm not saying that those are bad. But what you need to do is you need to go and get yourself some solids for those cartridges. Okay, you need to get a hard cast round. Okay, either hard cast or monolithic metal. One of the best companies that I go to is Buffalo Bore. You can check them out. Buffalo Bore, Choice Ammunition, and Underwood Ammo. They all have bear defense loads and dangerous animal loads for all 9mm, 10mm, 45 ACP, etc. And they have the hard cast bullets, okay, which are going to provide more penetration, much more penetration than your hollow points or your soft points, probably at least double the penetration, okay? So don't feel undergunned if you have a 9mm. Just make sure that you have a solid bullet on that 9mm in your magazine. Okay, make sure you have a hard cast, or make sure you have full metal jacket. I prefer hard cast. Full metal jacket. The problem with full metal jacket is that the jacket is really thin, And if you shoot a bear or some type of a large animal with a full metal jacket, the jacket will bend and the bullet will flatten out, and it's not going to punch through the bone and break the bone. All right. Versus a hard cast bullet, which is basically lead that's mixed with tin and antimony, which makes the lead harder, and it behaves more like copper or some type of a harder metal. And that hard cast bullet will bust through any shoulder bone or leg bone or whatever bone is in the way, and it'll smash through it and get right to the vital areas. Okay. So get yourself solid bullets, either monolithic metal like a solid copper bullet, or get yourself a hard cast. Hard casts are proven bear stoppers. Okay. That's the bullet of choice amongst many hunting guides in Alaska and in Canada and in the northwestern US. Okay. Hard cast bullets are proven to work. So, my recommendation is go out there, get yourself some hard cast ammo for your 9mm or whatever pistol you have. Okay. And practice with it. Make sure you can handle the recoil. Make sure you can draw the pistol out quickly and get it on target. And you have to remember that when you're shooting at a wild animal, it's not about getting a big group. Okay. Like when you're practicing for concealed carry, or when law enforcement officers practice, they're practicing for shooting many rounds in center mass. Okay. When you're dealing with a charging animal, you're not going to have the opportunity to shoot many rounds. You have to make sure that your first shot goes right where it needs to go, because you may only get one shot. Okay. If a bear is charging you at 40 miles an hour and it's in a brushy area and there's brush everywhere, you're only going to get one shot, maybe two, if you're lucky. Okay. So you have to make sure that you can get that gun out very quickly, get your sights on target and squeeze the trigger and get that bullet where it needs to go. That first shot, it has to be the first shot, is absolutely essential, because after the first shot, by the time you recover from the recoil, the animal's going to be on top of you, whether it's a bear, whether it's a moose, whether it's a dog, whatever it is. Wild animals move much quicker than people. So you're not going to get 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, 20 follow-up shots. You're going to have one shot, maybe a second follow-up shot before that animal closes the distance. So you have to make sure that you practice not only just for speed and getting good groups, but you have to practice for speed and precision, which is not something that a lot of people can do. It's hard to be quick and accurate, but you have to do both if you're dealing with a wild animal. Okay. So that's something to think about. All right. And so make sure you're practicing properly. Make sure you have the right weapons and the right bullets for your weapons. Okay. And this is why I always recommend larger caliber revolvers like 357 Magnum or 44 Magnum, just because they can deal with the two-legged threats, but they can also deal with the four-legged threats, versus a 9mm is excellent for two-legged threats, but it can't really do well against four-legged threats. Okay. It's okay, but it's not great. So, I recommend a larger caliber revolver or a larger caliber pistol. For example, a 10mm Glock is a great choice. A 357 revolver is a great choice, and a 44 Magnum revolver is a great choice. Okay, that'll handle almost anything in North America. If you live in Alaska or the Northwest, where you have brown bears and bison and large animals like that, then you want to consider going up to a 454 Casull and on up to a 500 Magnum. Okay, but 44 Magnum, 357, and 10mm, those three will deal with pretty much any of the animals I mentioned, even brown bears. There have been brown bears that have been killed with even a 9mm, but those situations are very, very rare. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was very long, but it's very important. I'll leave a link to the video of the bear killing the hog down below, and you can watch it. And again, viewer discretion advised. I would not recommend watching it around kids. So that's all I got for now. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.